Hi friends, my name is Patsy and today I'm going to show you how to make your own Trifold Leather Journal. As many of you know, I am a huge stationery lover, and so I've fallen in love with brands such as Traveler's Notebooks, Louise Carmen, Paper Republic, and earlier this year I actually had the chance to go to New York City. Funny enough, I actually brought my Traveler's Journal with me to sketch wherever I went. So I sketched while I was on the subway, while I was on the taxi, while we were in shows. And lo and behold, one of the stationery stores that we visited carried Louise Carmen. And I didn't realize that they sold it outside of Paris, France. And so I ended up picking it up and getting one for myself. Now, here's the thing. I got a little bit of a sticker shock because it cost $160. And that is a lot of money. And I did some research and I actually found that Paper Republic actually just created their version of the Trifold Leather Journal, and it cost $270 for their A4 size. And this is a pocket size and it's $160. And so I decided that I would do the most Patsy thing ever and just order all of the materials. So I ordered the leather, the grommets, the eyelets, all the supplies, the elastic band, and also the little charms so that I could make my own from scratch. And so I'm really excited because I already created one. This is what it looks like. And this is my first journal. And it's in that B6 size. It's not your typical size. So the Paper Republic and Louise Carmen and the Traveler's Notebooks, they don't actually sell it in this size. And so I was able to customize it however way I wanted to. And I was able to add extra pockets because I could. And one more thing I'll say is I can't tell you how much joy I felt when I finished making this journal. I was literally jumping around, dancing, because there's something about crafting and making things with your own hands that is so empowering. And so I was just really excited, and I'm excited to share it with you. So let's go over the materials and we'll get started. So let's talk about materials, my favorite thing. So let's start off with paper. The paper is needed in order for us to create the template. I had an 11 by 17 cardstock piece of paper lying around, so that's what I ended up using. You'll need a pair of pencils, and that's just to sketch out our template. I have a metal ruler. Your ruler doesn't need to be metal, but I like this one and have this one handy, so that's what I'm using. And we are also going to be using a rotary cutter to cut our leather. And just so you know, I am cutting the rotary cutter against my ruler. And there at the background, the mat that I'm using is a self-healing mat, typically used by quilters. And that's so that I can cut the leather on top of that surface. Here I'm picking up my grommets, also known as eyelets. They are 2 millimeters in size. And in order to put a grommet or an eyelet in, you would need a hole puncher. Keep in mind this also needs to be 2 millimeters. And I also have a grommet setter. So this is what secures the grommet in place on the leather. I'm also going to be using a mallet today because we need to hammer in the grommets as well as punch holes through a leather. And we will also be using this leather. The weight I selected for this is 3.5 to 4 ounces. One quick note about the leather. So this leather that I picked up is from Wickett and Craig, and they are a tannery based in central Pennsylvania. which is one of the reasons why I picked them, is to shout out my fellow PA folks. And what I love about this leather is that it's not too soft and it's not too hard. So it has a medium temper and is very easy to work with. So this is very easy to cut through and to shape. And this is also vegetable tanned leather. What I love about this leather is that it will patina over time and it will look so lovely. So it ages well over time. Okay, leather tangent over. Next we will need a set of elastics, preferably of different colors, so that you could mix and match your colors with your leather and elastics. These elastics will be going to the spine and around your leather journal. You will also need a notebook. So whatever notebook you want to use for this journal should be the notebook that you bring into this project. I also found these sweet zipper cases and craft folders that you could also insert. I believe they are passport size and will work really well with the size of this project. This is optional, but if you would like to create a pen loop today, I would encourage you to get a braided elastic, since that will be what makes up our pen loop. And if you are making a pocket with a pen loop today, you will need thread and an access to a sewing machine. I'm also going to be using PVA glue. I've used this glue in the past for bookbinding projects, so that's perfect. And then lastly, charms. So these are a few of the charms that I have handy. So now that we have all of our materials, let's get started. So for step 1, we are going to create our template. So the best way to do this is to put your notebook on top of a sheet of paper and then mark out how much space you want to put between the top of the cover and the notebook. Step 2, you have to mark out where your holes will be. So you would want to line up your holes beside the top and bottom of your notebook. Next, I'm adding 2 solid lines on the template to mark my pocket. Then, after finding the center of the pocket, I added 2 dots on either side so that I could add the loop that will go around the Trifold Leather Journal. Step 3, you have to cut out the template. So in order to cut it, you could use a pair of scissors. I own one of these guillotine cutters, and so I'll use that. Step 4, decide if you want curved edges or rounded corners for your journal. You can get any rounded object and use that to trace out the rounded edges. As an example, this is what I used to create rounded edges. So I used this candle from Monica's Collective, placed this on top of the corner of my template, traced around it, and that's how I did my rounded edges. You could also use a hole puncher. I know some people have rounded corner punchers. That can also be used. And as an example, this is the very first journal that I've ever created. And the edges, they're rounded, but you know, it's not perfect. It's a little bit jagged and it has some personality to it, but that's okay. So for this specific tutorial, I decided that I was just gonna skip that altogether because I'm not great at cutting edges yet. So I'll just leave that out. So this is a good example of what a good template looks like. So in this case, I did have rounded edges and there are some holes on it already. Yours shouldn't have any holes. I'm just pulling this up as an example. Step 5 is cutting the leather. So you will put your template on top of your leather, and using your metal ruler, you will cut against it with your rotary cutter. Make sure that you're not cutting in a slanted way and apply some pressure as you cut. You already probably know this, but be careful when you're using the rotary cutter. It is very sharp. Step number 5 is punching the holes. So using your hole puncher and hammer, you will punch through both the template and the leather. We are keeping the template on top of the leather as it's going to guide us. Step number 7 is installing the grommets. Next, we will add the grommet on top of the front side of our leather. And when I say front side, this is the side that's going to be on the outside of our leather. So it's going to be, this is the front side, and the inside portion, this will be the back side. Once we flip this over from the back side of the leather, you will poke through using this tool and set it against the circular metal thing. I honestly don't know what this thing is called. You will hammer it in a couple of times, and you can check to make sure that the grommet is flushed against the leather. You can also practice installing grommets on another piece of leather just to make sure that you feel confident. I've made many mistakes installing the grommets the incorrect way, so this is worth practicing. So after the grommets have been installed, you can make a decision between, would I want to add the optional pocket and pen loop, or would I rather just keep it as it is? If you want to keep it as it is, you can skip forward to this number, and I will go over how to install your elastic. And this is the elastic band that goes around your spine and around the whole journal. However, if you want to go a little bit crazy with me and want to add a pocket and a pen loop to your journal, then keep on watching. So optional step number 8 is cutting your leather pocket. And how I did this was I picked up my original template. So this is my template. And what I did was I marked solid lines as to where I want the pocket to be. So as you can see, I have 2 solid lines, and that's where I'm going to go ahead and cut. And honestly, for this step, you can make a couple of custom pockets if you'd like. For the first journal that I created, I decided that I would create this pocket, and it has a pen loop right here. And on this other side, I created another pocket right here. And so you can decide to do both. You could decide to do one, but for this tutorial, I'm just showing you how to do this pocket with the pen loop. So using your template that you've created, I would just put that against the leather and slice right through it. So you will cut through your template. Optional step number 9 is attaching your pen loop. So using the elastic, the sewing elastic band that you have, you'll want to sew it right underneath the leather. So for example, very similar to this one, instead of sewing it right on top, I'm sewing it on the back side of my leather. And I don't do anything fancy here, I just go back and forth using the sewing machine. Optional step number 10 is gluing the pocket onto your journal. This isn't probably necessary, but I like to do it so that it doesn't budge or move too much as I'm sewing the pocket onto my leather journal. But it's what has worked for me. Feel free to skip the step if you feel like you're pretty good when it comes to sewing. But what I did was I picked up PVA glue and glued the edges. So for example, if this is our pocket, what I ended up doing was I only glued 3 of the sides. So here up top, at the side, and here at the bottom. The side that has the pen loop is going to be our open pocket, so we don't want to glue that side. So optional step number 11 is sewing the pocket onto our journal. So using a sewing machine, we are only going to sew 3 sides of the pocket. The top side, the left side, and the bottom side. I'm going to turn my journal this way, and then I'm going to start sewing. Because remember, we are always sewing away from us. So I sew, I hit the reverse to lock it in, and then I sew right along the edge. I cut the thread, and we are nearly done. So step number 12 is adding the elastic. So we're adding the elastic along the spine to loop around our journal. For the spine, we start from the back side of the journal and insert it into the top hole. Then onto the next hole, and then onto the next. So we are just moving down the line. In the end, you will make a knot with the two ends, and they should meet at the back side of the leather. So make sure that the elastic isn't loose, but has some tension to it. If you would like to insert charms at the spine, now would be a good time to put it in. For the loop around our journal, you will have both elastic ends coming out of the back side. You can also insert your charms here. Now the exciting part. Step number 14, adding notebooks, folders, zipper cases, and whatever you want in your journal. So you can choose from blank, lined, or dotted notebooks to pouches, folders, and more. This is the beauty of making your own journal. You could customize it however you want it to. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. In the end, I ended up creating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I have 2 more downstairs, so 8 journals overall. You're probably wondering, Patsy, do you actually need all those journals? And the answer is no, I don't. The reason why I created 6 of them so that I could give them away as gifts to my family members. So for Christmas, I asked them to select what leather color they'd like and also 4 charms. And so as an example, this is what my sister Mel selected. So she selected these 2 charms, super cute, and then these 2 at the spine. So this is going to be her gift. And let me actually just walk you through what's inside. You've seen it already, but just in case you'd like to see it again. So we have a business card holder. I'm actually going to add a photo of the 2 of us here. So it's going to be from my photo printer. And here is a lined notebook, followed by a zipper pouch where she could store a bunch of stuff in there, a folder. When I was traveling in New York earlier this year, I actually used this folder in my traveler's journal and used it as a wallet. So it was both my wallet and my journal. And then here she has a blank notebook. At the very end, there is the pocket as well as the pen loop. So that is what that looks like. Oh, it looks so good, and I love how it shakes. Overall, I thought that this process was relatively easy. I was really intimidated to actually start this project when I first received all the materials, but honestly, once I started getting into it, it was honestly not that bad. I was so excited when I finished it that I invited my book club to do this with me. So I had 3 other women who came on, I believe it was a Saturday night last week, and we all came out of that evening with a journal in our hands, made with our own 2 hands. And so there's something really exciting and empowering about creating something from scratch, and it is honestly the best feeling in the world to know that you created something with your hands. So I hope that the ladies felt it that night, and I hope that you would feel that too. Now, if you are interested in creating your own, very own Trifold Leather Journal, I created a PDF that includes the template that I've used, the materials, as well as all the steps that I've laid out, but in a print form so you can just read through it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to make one, have already made one, or if you have any questions or thoughts about my process. And I hope I see you next time. Bye. Number 3, my lucky number.
I for alpha, and then
Whoa. It's a big eye.
tropical for like, you know, yeah, my house. It's so cute. Oh my god! There are pictures inside.